I don't always want a big project when I go down to my art studio and create. Hi, my name is BB Henry, and today I'm going to be taking you to my studio with me so that we can create some papers. This is a perfect way to be creative without having a real big end goal of needing to complete a project. Each individual paper that you finish is a quick win that allows you to really feel like you were creative today and you accomplished something. We're going to jump right into making these papers, and I've gone ahead and sped up the videos for you so that you can get a good idea of what I'm doing, but also to realize that these are really simple paper making methods. They're quite repetitive, and I love that when I want to be creative, but I can't really say that I have a ton of creative juices flowing. This is also perfect when maybe I'm in a mode of overthinking, or maybe I am not feeling as great. And so something that's nice and repetitive where I don't have to keep making decisions is absolutely ideal. That's also why I love stitching, because you can just keep taking your stitches one after the other and it's nice and repetitive. So here I am working with some acrylic ink on a piece of paper. I tore it out of an old notebook. It feels a little bit more textured, maybe like a handmade paper would. So I'm not exactly sure what kind it is, but it does absorb the inks in a slightly different way than a normal sheet of paper. So it's always fun to test all the different variables from the supplies that you're using, the substrates that you're marking on. And this is an acrylic ink that I mixed myself out of acrylic paint, water, and airbrush medium. It does have a bit more bubbles in it just because I didn't take as much time. I probably had just shaken it up after this, but actually those bubbles dry in a really fun way. Next up, I am working on a sturdy piece of vellum paper. So vellum is just transparent, and I love this in my journals. This one, it's a little bit more thicker than like deli paper. Deli paper is fantastic for collaging in or like a tissue. Vellum is just a little bit sturdier, at least the kind that I get, which is great because it holds up really well even as a page inside of a journal. And so I do go to this one quite a bit. Also, I am obsessed with the way that it kind of bubbles and ripples once I add water to the vellum. So I love giving papers even more texture, and water is one of the ways to do that. I was making those small repetitive marks with an Inktense pencil, which is water soluble. So I made those marks knowing that I was going to come back and activate them with a bit of my water on a paintbrush. So nothing more that I'm adding to these marks besides a wet paintbrush and kind of just spreading that pigment out a little bit. Now, I don't like to waste anything, and the thought of putting that brush right back into the water while there's still that yummy pigment on it kind of drives me crazy. And so I have another piece of paper that I am just going to make kind of ghost prints on over on the side, which gives a really great subtle pattern. Now, you may have just seen what I did there, where my paper was really crinkling and rolling up on me, so that bothered me. What I did is I just took two very small snippets of double stick tape and put it down on my surface and on the paper. Yes, it will probably rip a little bit when I bring it back up, but it also saves my sanity of not having to worry about it rolling up on me constantly. So I like this design here just because it gives you the sturdier impression of the original pencil, but also kind of that ghost imprint around. Quickly moving on, we are going to do just some simple stenciling on a piece of paper. So we don't always have to reinvent the wheel with what we're doing, coming up with brand new marks, new designs, any of that. Using what we already have on hand, we bought it for a reason, or we gravitate to certain marks for a reason. It's because we like them. So it's okay to continue to do those same things, because in the end, it really comes back to our signature style. It starts to develop over time when we just create more variations of the same thing. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and layer two stencils on top of each other. Now, I was a bit too too much gusto here on that first one of this design on this stencil, so it did kind of go everywhere, but I'm not aiming for perfection, so that is totally fine. I'm just experimenting, seeing what shapes I like together, how can I make it a little bit more interesting, while keeping in mind I'm not trying to make masterpieces. I'm creating papers that could be used for a variety of reasons or in ways. It could be used for collages in the future. It could be used in an art journal. In fact, this session here was inspired by needing a few more papers for the current color scheme that I'm working on, these deep blues with the chartreuse, and I needed some more like simple mark making papers for the journals that I am creating. So it's a great time to just kind of explore around, see what you like and see what you don't like. It's easy, even when we're working on papers, to think that the entire thing has to be a masterpiece or something that we're wanting to hang on the wall, when in the end, that just makes us focus way more on the product rather than the process. So instead, just focus on how you're feeling while you're making it. Are you enjoying the mark that you're making over and over? Do you find it to be, I don't know, frustrating where you don't want to mark with that particular supply? I have some things that I enjoy mark making with more than others, and part of that is the way that they'll mark on the page or the feeling that they give. It can be sometimes a sensory thing. So play around with that and lean into the things that you're really enjoying. I'm layering over some marks here with the sponge I did with the paint, just creating a nice irregular mark over and over. And then now with a China pencil coming in and making a few marks on top of it. Remembering that I can always come back and add more, and also that the same mark does not need to be made on each individual one. I like starting with that base of kind of the consistent marks throughout, even though they're irregular, and then coming in with another design on top of it that is not quite as predictable, so not done in every single zone. Here I'm working on another piece of that vellum from before, working with a really pretty lighter blue because, as I said, I'm working with those deeper blues and the chartreuse mainly, but we need different values of the same color. So coming in with lighter options of that same color is going to give me nice contrast throughout the course of that journal, throughout a collage, if that's what I was aiming to make. So remember that you can always go lighter and darker with your colors as well to give nice variations of value. I love the idea that this one is translucent see-through, so just coming in with a few more marks. Still, this is a really subtle piece, which I like. You need a bit of a balance between the hard and the soft, maybe the more edgy and bold with the more subtle designs. It's always a nice, again, contrast, just in a little bit different way. Here I'm working on a piece of, it was probably packaging actually, crumpled up in a box or something that I got, and adding that same color in. I had some left over on my palette, knowing that it probably wouldn't show up super bold on this particular piece of paper, but that's okay. I'm thinking of coming in with another design on top of it. And so then we kind of just have those dual designs going on that complement each other. Here I'm going to use my little jelly plate as just kind of an ink pad for my acrylic paint, and using one of the stamps that I designed to make a repetitive mark over top of it. These stamps are available. I'm going to put the link down in the description below. You can get them at Joggles. I have a whole line of different stamps that I designed, and I'm really loving them for the different shapes and the repetitive nature of them. This is another one of those stamps, which is just extremely versatile. So don't forget, if you're new here, to subscribe, and even if you are not new, please hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps you to find my videos in the future, and I'm so thankful that you guys are here, and happy paper making. Okay, talk soon.